suggest you aim for the head. Heads. A bird will do anything to feed its young. Rise and go. I applaud you, challenger. Not many survive this long. The final trial begins. Feel his power. Ultimatum. Chaos, aid me. Be still. Embrace chaos. Entropy. Uneasy. My service is finally over.
Welcome back, you filthy exiles, and this I didn't know if I wanted to do an actual build guide for this, because it's a little bit of a weird one. So, like, the build is competent, and I'm farming, like, T15, 16 maps, T2 pinnacles right now. It can be scaled up, but the investment to get the scale up is, like, 30 div, or 24 div, something, 25 div at this point. And like, it would be worth it to be able to do it, and we got to rescale some stuff on it. But overall, anyway, let's talk about what the build is. So in, I think, 0.2, I was playing around with Fangs of Frost, and I was like, this is a really cool concept, but the problem with Fangs of Frost is it's really expensive on the mana side of things, and really hard to sustain if you want to, like, strike it really quickly. Well, that changed with the introduction of Constricting Command, right? So basically, this gives us the ability to now get away with absolutely no cost for our Fangs of Frost if we use Defy 2, which means insufficient mana doesn't prevent you from using support skills. And we, funnily enough, we also use this with Glacial Lance, and we also decided to use this with Elemental Sundering. And if you're watching the B-roll, this actually does a lot of damage. In fact, the B-roll is now out of date because I went back to the drawing board and played with the POB a little bit. And yeah, it was pretty wild. So basically, Elemental Sundering now gets to like 718,000 DPS. And if you can land a parry, you get to 1 million, right? So it's quite strong, to be honest with you. And it's just basically based on your distance from the enemy if you're standing right on them. Now, it's a little risky with this setup as well, but it sort of is what it is. So I guess that's like the main thing. Ignore Unbound Ailments. We decided not to go with that. Now, the big thing here was originally I went the Chayula Monk, and a big observation I made where like chaos damage works really well. And by the way, this is an original Sin setup. So we do 100% conversion of cold into chaos damage. Which is why I call this Black Ice, right? Because number one, that's a really cool name. And number two, that's what it is. It's Chaos Ice, right? So that's basically the build in a nutshell. So all damage that this build does is chaos damage. And so we do things like stacking a Despair Aura on it, for example. We have Withering Presence as well. So we then apply with 10 stacks of Wither. So the longer we're in the vicinity to an enemy, the more damage we do. The big problem with the build, though, is just the sustain around being able to sit in a fight for a long time. We sort of want to end the fight really quickly, so we've sort of got to work on that a fair bit. But yeah, we have Despair here, Heightened Curse. We can probably do some more stuff with this as well to make this more potent. But yeah, there's the other big thing here is we're like maxing Fangs of Frost out to gem level 32. And the way that we're able to do like the insane amounts of cold damage as chaos damage, and also able to then like freeze enemies while we do chaos damage, is we use this gem called Tull's Stillness. So basically, chaos damage from hits with supported skills also contribute to freeze buildup. And so we're able to do stupid amounts of freeze buildup and scale freeze buildup. That's basically the main concept of the build. And then we use like biting, ice bite and stuff like that. We can actually probably do way more damage with this, but we'll have a play around with this a little bit more. But yeah, there's a lot of optimization that needs to go into this. So the route that I went was not to go with the hybrid ES variation 2. We just like stacked a ton of decks. So we got up to like 16 to 19,000 decks. Once we get our rest of our nodes here, we've got to level up like 3 more times. Once we get up to frantic swings, then we actually use blind to be a huge damage reducer for us. And then basically we're going to abuse blind a little bit, so we need to find more blind on the tree. Another thing that currently is out of date in the POB, and I stupidly only realized this, is this here is like way, way out of date. And we can get rid of that now, so we can put something a lot more potent in there, which we'll probably do. And then, yeah, we do some weird stuff like stacking chaos damage nodes and stuff like that, because that's what we do. We scale chaos damage, right? The other big, really like odd thing too is obviously with the Invoker, we get the benefits of all these I am the Thunder and I am the Blizzard. It would have been really cool if this is I am the Storm, to be honest with you, the Virgil reference from Devil May Cry. But we do use Lead Me Through Grace, which gives us, 200 and something spirit, I think was what I had from memory. Something like that. 207 spirit. I should know, I'm looking at the damn screen. The weird thing here is Sunder My Enemies really isn't effective to use. So we do take the crit strike node. If we pull that in a POB and have a quick squiz at that, I don't believe it actually does anything. Yeah, it does like nothing. We're actually better off like taking this, but it's only like 1.2k. We're probably actually better off just taking a little bit of extra defense here. But yeah, that's basically it. The problem with the Chayula Monk, the problem with the Invoker is it just doesn't really have the capacity to deal with this sort of setup. And so like we're going like, the whole full dex route, but that's not really how you play monks. I actually sort of looked at this and went, I would have been way better off going with the Lich. So down here, part of it's because the where is it? That's a ritualist. Where's the Lich? Oh, there's a Lich in there. Okay. Yeah, part of it is because there is like a node that gives you like explosions based on chaos or whatever. Yeah, sorry, it is this as the whispers demand, I believe. Maybe not that. Where is it? I have no idea. Anyway, it's somewhere in here. Anyway, this wasn't the best ascendancy choice. There are far better ascendancy choices that we could have made. Oh, yeah, Lich. Okay. Bloody hell, Jorgen. So basically, we could have taken, like, this Rupture the Souls, and then cursed enemies killed by you or allies in your presence have 33% chance to explode, dealing a core there. So basically, this is the old Profane Bloom node from Path of Exile 1. Like, we probably would have been better off with this, and then, yeah, there just would have been way more utility built in this ascendancy. Your life cannot change while you have energy shield, and then what we could have done is then, like, leeched up energy shield, and basically our life wouldn't have went down, so we basically would have been immortal. And we might actually, like, rescale this and play it on the Lich and see how we go. I feel like the Lich just would be a better ascendancy, and we sort of take advantage of this too, because, like, we would just be blowing packs up with this. So we might actually, like, if you guys want to see me do this build but on the Lich, I'm happy to do that because I think it'll actually be a far better ascendancy. There's very little rescale requirement. We basically just come in through here and take almost all the same nodes except for these entry nodes here. So we just come in through the attribute point nodes there and whatnot, and it'll probably work very well. But yeah, if you guys want to see me do it on the Lich, then yeah, we can give it a crack on the Lich. But yeah, anyway, getting back to the video. So that's basically the concept of the build, right? So, like, we just basically Fangs of Frost around, hit the enemy a hell of a lot really quickly. I think we get to 3.55 APS or something like that. That's attacks per second, for those who don't know what that means. 3.95 APS, which is pretty fast for the skill, right? Can be faster. There's definitely faster builds in the game and way better builds than this in the game. But yeah, this would allow us to do a ton of damage. But yeah, basically we just hit the enemy a ton of times. We then, we can hit our Glacial Lance, and then we also generate frenzy charges through Combat Frenzy as well. which basically means as we hit enemies, then we kill enemies and we pin enemies, then we're able to basically scale up, get our Glacial Lance up and running, and then run that. And that's pretty effective as well. And then obviously when the enemy gets frozen, we then hit our Elemental Sundering, which does like our 5 to 700,000 DPS or something like 500 to 700,000 DPS, and just chonks their health. And it also looks really cool, I found too. Anyway, that's basically it for the build concept. Let's get into the, I was going to say POB configs, but we don't really need to do that. Let's get into the gearing, all the rest of the stuff, and talk about the build a little bit more. Okay, so for gearing on this build, basically Constricting Command is a necessary item. We need it to get around the mana cost of the skill so we can hit really, really quickly with this. And the other thing is you're going to need require 5 fewer enemies to be surrounded. I got really lucky with a Corrupt. I'd recommend buy, I think this at the time was like 2 annuls, but this is quite an expensive item. What are you worth at the moment? Yeah, it's worth down in price, right? 2 annuls is about where the price sits, but you do need the 5 fewer enemies roll. Otherwise, it's just not going to be worth it. We do have like a really, really big evasion rating chest piece, and we do get some deflection on here too. This could be way better, and I need to sort of work this a bit. And obviously in the helm also, we've just got this 5% elemental resistance, so this is not optimized. We use Sun Splitter in this build, and the reason why is we use the +3 to all cold skills, and obviously Fangs of Frost is a cold skill, so we're just like throttling skill level as far as we can. We also get overcapped reses and stuff like that. Obviously we get access to parry, but we don't really use parry. Parry like should work with this, but honestly parry is a terrible mechanic. And I don't know, maybe there's people out there that are like really efficient at using it, but I think it's not very good and it doesn't feel very good to use, but maybe that's just me. It's not really my playstyle. I'm a tank player at the end of the day, so it's either front load damage or front load defense. I'm just old, right? So basically, spear's a really interesting one as well. So we want obviously plus level to attack skills, which we got +4. It's really easy to craft. It's perfect, not perfect fossil. It's perfect essence of battle. And they're like, I think like 33 to 40 exalts, something like that. But if you're crafting, you basically just want to hit every other note on your item, and then you want to get that. In this case, you need like as higher attack speed as you possibly can, because we do abuse the hell out of attack speed. And the other thing too is once you then hit a corrupt and hopefully don't brick your item, you want to use the 13% of damage as extra chaos damage, and that's going to get you a lot of damage. Physical damage is not a big thing on this. Crit is much more important because we have like 22% crit in our configuration right now. Crit is pretty much the preference. You want at least fire and lightning damage in it. If you can get a really high roll on cold damage, even better. You need omni elemental damages because that's how the original sin works. 100% of elemental damage is converted into chaos damage. So the more elemental damage scaling you have on your weapon, the higher the DPS you can be. I do have a theory crafted POB that gets to like 550,000 with Fangs of Frost. It's very strong when it's scaled up correctly. It just takes a bit of tedious sort of tweaking to get it to work. The leeches, 5.51% physical damage as mana. It is a terrible roll on this item, and that's basically one of the things that's gimped this particular spear. But anyway, we will just go back to the drawing board and keep trying to get a better and better spear as we get more currency, I guess, if I want to push this build anymore. Ring-wise, I've got life per enemy killed. It's just a really good, useful thing on a faster, high-octane build. I found this with rapid strikes, and it works well on this. You still end up hitting the pot a lot, and I need to get around that. And there is a way to do that, but I need to switch it into ES. This is where I think the Lich would be far, far better. Obviously, Amulet, we got +3 to all melee skills. We've just got like a crazy Ami here that's just crazy. And we use Thrill of Battle as the Anoint, which gives us 20% attack speed, and that obviously works with the Constricting Command. Original Sin, this is Original Sin build, right? So that's what we use for it. Then in our gloves, we're using attack speed gloves. Plus gem level would be bad. And again, we've got Leech as mana, which is totally useless on this build. So we're going to have to switch these out. I did some testing with Ingenuity. This is not BIS. So basically the best belt in the game is going to be Darkness and Throne. And then if we were to go over to our currency exchange, basically what we want to then use in the Darkness and Throne are... we want these attack speed nodes. Where are they? Were they talismans? I think they were, yeah, so we want these Cyrus talismans, right? But here's the problem with this, right? They're worth 3,000 Exalt right now, or what's that in Divine Talk? Where's the Divine? Why does it do this? Divine. Apparently, we don't know what a Divine is. All right, there we go. So they're worth like 11 div at the moment because everybody's doing this. Basically, how the mechanic works is you get 2 of these and you get a glove enchanted Darkness and Throne. You get 16% attack speed, and then you get 100% roll, corrupt it up, or quality it up and corrupt it up as best you can. And so that gets to 32% increased attack speed, which throttles the living daylights out of your build. Except what people won't tell you in their videos or whatever it might be is that's really expensive. Like, that is insanely expensive. Maybe they do, but that's insanely expensive. So basically, anyone who's rolling double Talisman of Cyrus setups is like, just like, you know, no life farming to get that sort of currency has got the best farming strategy in the world. Because yeah, that's really expensive. That being said, it is doable if you've got the time, but that's where I'm sort of bottlenecking in this build because there is no other belt in the game right now that sort of gets a better result than Ingenuity or this. Really where I'm at is just stacking more defense up to overcap my reses, push my life up and stuff like that. And then basically try and switching this belt out and then trying again with something else. That's basically where I'm at with this. And then boots finally, we've got 30% movement, evasion, like an okay stack set of evasion. It's definitely not the best by any chance. But a lot of T1 and T2 rolls. We cap out our resistances, some rarity and life on this. These boots are not too bad, but they're definitely nowhere near anywhere good enough. And there might be some other combinations we can run to make it better. But again, we need to compensate the firing and cold res out. And I think doing that on the belt and switching the boots for something else might be a better idea. And then we've got the Amethyst Charm, and we've just got a Stone Charm as well. Again, like, I haven't got the charms sorted out because I keep playing like tons of different builds instead of investing in the one. But anyway, that's basically the gearing setup in here. So like, is it complicated? It's a bit tedious to configure this because it took me a little bit to balance it through POB to actually make it even work. But it is possible to get working, and yeah, this isn't like overtly expensive stuff. Like, some of this is like +3 is definitely expensive. And obviously constricting command. There is a bit of cost that goes in this. Is it probably worth the currency you put into it? The only reason why I would say you should play this build would be if you just want to play it for fun. I wouldn't recommend playing it because it's like the best build. There's just tons of way better and way cheaper builds out there. Like I'm doing right now, a Titan with Sunder and what was the other one? Earthshatter. And it's just way more fun and tankier and easy to gear. Even my Rapid Strike build was way easier to gear than this one. But yeah, if you want to play it, you know, here's everything you need to know how to play it. Okay, gem setups. Ignore Unbound Avatar, ignore parry. We don't use any of them. We use Fangs of Frost, so we got Rapid Attacks 2, Close Combat 2, Rage 3. We get a lot of rage and attack speed early on. And then we use Defy 2. This gives us Prevent Mana and Lucky Attack Damage. And the big one is Tull Stillness. You won't be able to use this until approximately level 65. Then we use Glacial Lance with Projectile Acceleration. We use it with Ice Bite, but we're going to really have a look at that because I don't think this is BIS. We use Rage Forged, and obviously this removes our 10 rage that we build up from our Fangs of Frost. So basically when you cap out, you're going to slow down by 15%. So then you want to then pop a Glacial Lance, get that back down, do another few hits, and then Glacial Lance again, vice versa, you know, so and so, you know, as you need to. Explosions deal a fair bit of damage too. And then we've got Magnified Area and then Defy 2 on that as well. So that I don't know if I just covered off on that. But anyway, that gives us bigger AoE and it gets around our mana sustain as well. Then we've got Withering Presence with Chaos Mastery +1 prolonged duration as well. Elemental Sundering, we're then running Chaos Attunement, Super Critical, Pinpoint Critical, Close Combat 2 and Defy 2. And then we have Wind Dancer with Magnified Effect, Blind 2, Pin 2 and Maim. Then Combat Frenzy with Charge Profusion. Then Herald of Ice. We use Charge Profusion 1 as well because we only want additional Frenzy charges. We don't want any other charges here. Then we run Herald of Ice with Overreach, Pinpoint Critical, Elemental Focus, and Frozen Spite. Then we want Freezing Mark. We're going to pop on an enemy with Prolonged Duration, Cold Mastery. I'm not convinced that Piety's Mercy actually works on this, nor do I really know what it does, but I threw it on here just to have a bit of a muck around. It's probably disadvantaging the build at some capacity. And then we're running Blasphemy with Despair, Heightened Curse, and Magnified Effect. And that's basically it for the gem setups, right? All this will be in the POV that will be provided. If you guys want me to do a Mobalytics on this, I'm happy to do a Mobalytics on it. I'm just on the bench about how much I promote this build because I just don't think it's the best build in the world. And there's definitely just better stuff out there to play. It's just a little bit of fun at the end of the day to get the concept working. Okay, so then from the Ascendancy wise, we're going to take I Am the Blizzard, I Am the Thunder, and Lead Me Through Grace. You actually probably want this earlier on, and then you just stack Evasion on your chest to get a whole heap of Spirit. And then finally, we do have Sunder My Enemies, but I think just like taking the crit node and taking like one of these nodes or the evasion node is going to be of more benefit at this stage because there's just no purpose to it outside of that. It would have been really good to get the explosion here, but I don't know, giving up chilled ground and magnitude and shock, it just seems like it's not a good deal for this build. Anyway, that's something that we're just going to have to play with. Then we come up, we're going to grab Mindful Awareness up into Moment of Truth, then into Concussive Attack, down into Blinding Strike. So we have actually 15% blind on hit. That's pretty good. And then Agile Succession. We want to go for a lot of attack speed on this. And then we go Tenfold Attack, going Killer Instinct. We come down and we're going to grab Distracted Targets and Frantic Swings as well. We're going to totally abuse Blind, and that's going to reduce our crit that we're going to take. Then we come up, we're going to grab Deadly Force into For the Jugular, True Strike. We want to then come all the way around into the Spaghettification, and I can't believe I just said that without faltering there. That's pretty good. And then Deep Trance as well gives us more attack speed. Then we come up, we grab Spectral Ward. We want to come down and grab Throat Seeker. And you want to go all the way down until you get these crit nodes in here, and then in Enhanced Reflexes and Bestial Skin. It's all really useful stuff for evasion builds. Now, the other thing here is I do have a Prism of Belief with +3 to Fangs of Frost. It's super cheap, and it's surprising how much damage that nets you. And then you come back up, we're going to then go to Careful Assassin, into Thin Ice, into Heavy Frost. This gives us more freeze build up at the end of the day. We get no benefits from these other nodes in here. Then we'll grab Pure Chaos, and then finally we're going to get a Megalomaniac Diamond and try and get chilled to the bone and Precise Point. This is going to give us increased damage with spears and also freeze magnitude, which is really, really useful for this particular build. That's chilled bone up there. And that's basically it for the tree. It's not a particularly difficult tree, but yeah, it would be good to be able to get that node there. That would be really, really awesome. But then that only applies to full life, so it's single hit purpose. It's useless on bosses. Anyway, that's basically it for the tree. Pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, so like that's it for the build. Like this isn't like my favorite build in Path of Exile 2. It doesn't feel as good as Rapid Strike. Rapid Striker that has a weapon switch Hammer of the Gods. If you haven't seen it, check out the other videos on the channel. I definitely think there's just way better builds. To be honest with you, I got this idea from an Ice Strike configuration, and then I was like, wonder if you can do that with spears, and it does scale up. It doesn't hit anywhere near as like hard as Ice Strike can with this configuration even. Actually, no, that's not true. It does hit as hard, but Ice Strike with just cold damage can hit for like 1.8 million DPS per hit, right? This is only going to like, this is at like 300,000 and it's going to peak at like 500,000. Ice Strike can arguably just like one hit, like, you know, way uber pinnacles, right? That being said, like, you know, I can progress this further. With more levels comes more power and better gear and stuff like that. So if you want to see that, let me know below. Otherwise, if you like this type of off-meta mucking around to get stuff working, then don't forget to like and sub to the channel. Definitely got other build ideas lined up there, but right now we're just doing some basic builds to get back to the normal stuff. But yeah, anyway, until next time, I'll see you guys later on and have a good one.